everyone, and welcome to the Epic Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Lee Gray with Action Coach Business Coaching, and my guest today is Damien Boehm. Your top 3 things that made you successful in business, and how can other people follow in your footsteps?
It's hard to put it into a top 3. I think there are many things, and I think that's part of what's so overwhelming about getting started in a business is we always want to simplify it, and simplify it is best. That is the overwhelm of getting started in your own business, is realizing that it's not just marketing, you've got operations, you've got accounts, you've got all these sorts of things. So to be successful in business, for me, the first thing is always the mindset and the approach or your attitude towards things. So, because it doesn't really matter how good your strategy is, what your tactics are, or your business plan, because guaranteed in business and in life, things are not going to go according to plan. So if they're not going according to plan, then your attitude really does matter. And that would probably follow on to the next point that I would have, which would be you've got to have the right attitude, but you also have to have a plan, you have to have a structure, and then lastly, you've got to be able to persevere with it. So perseverance and just sticking with things, I would say, would be one of the key ingredients to success in business. Obviously, with that comes all sorts of things, working with people, developing business systems, marketing, sales, etc. But to me, it's at least those 3 cores you've got to get. And if you've got them, then, you can make some progress.
Most interesting is you didn't talk about any hardcore skill, really. You spoke about soft skills that can be learned, traits that can be learned. Some of us are lucky enough to be born with some perseverance, like you said, but it can be learned.
You've got to work from something. You've got to work, to me, and I believe, that's what testament to their Action Coach system is. It does really put a lot of focus as well on having the correct mindset about operating business. And it's one of those things, it doesn't really matter about all those other things, strategy, tactics, marketing plans, if you don't have character and identity. So you need to have the right identity, and you need to develop character as a business person. And if you don't have character as well, people are not going to want to work with you, and people are not going to want to partner with you either. And that's a big part of business, is other people. I mean, I would say, 80% of business is people. And then the 20% is, systems, tools, resources, etc.
What made you decide to get into this business, and why?
Certainly no one wakes up in the morning and decides that they want to be a cleaning business owner or entrepreneur. It's something that most people I speak to fall into it, and that certainly was the case with me. So I wasn't originally in commercial cleaning. Commercial cleaning wasn't my background. I was in real estate. I used to, in Australia, we call them townhouses and apartments. In America, I believe it's condos. So I was doing that and some commercial stuff. So I was working for a developer. Then I branched out on my own and started doing my own real estate projects and deals. And one of the challenges with that, especially when you start, is I was working from project to project. So I wasn't sort of building, in a sense, a rent roll. I wasn't, collecting, large rents. So the income I was generating was funding a project, then building it, selling it, and then I'd have a payday at the end. Obviously meant that my cash flow was very lumpy. So, and sometimes non-existent. So, because not all the projects were successful. And that's, why, people say, well, the developer makes so much profit. Well, the reason they have to make that much profit is because there's probably going to be 2 or 3 projects that don't work out. And the transaction costs are very high. So it was something I recognized early on when things were going well in that business, that it would be good to have some steady income. And then when things weren't going so well, then I realized I needed to have some steady income. One of the industries that I looked at that did have that was janitorial, commercial cleaning, because I saw it as contract based, and I saw it as something that I could get at least some income consistency, some steady flowing, and build it up as well. If I was able to win contracts and set up cleaners in those cleaning contracts. And so that's how I initially started. Then everything sort of fell apart with what I was doing with my real estate, and that's a story for another day. And in fact, I wrote a book and I recount some of those challenges of what ended up happening with my real estate ventures, and that got me full time into the cleaning, and that's what I started focusing on. And then I came at a certain juncture and ended up franchising the business. And that's when it started really taking off in a big way for us.
What's the top piece of advice you would give to another entrepreneur? And I want to say someone that's maybe equal to you, not someone brand new necessarily, because I think it's easier to coach a brand new business because you have the fundamentals, right? What would you coach an already successful entrepreneur on?
When you build a level of success, you're making good money. The trap is habits and where you're going to. And this is something that I'm very conscious of right now and where I am at in the business. And that is, I've been involved day to day in the business for so long, and I really enjoy what I do. But you don't buy a business to do that. The business is meant to be working for you, you're not working for the business. And so there needs to be a conscious break where you realize I am not the business. The business does its own thing. It's an asset in its own self. It's what a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. And so, you can say that, but what is the reality? Are you coming into work every single day? What are you doing outside of work? That's something that I coach, in a sense, like looking internally, like, yes, I need to basically hand over the reins and I need to start letting other people become charged. The business needs to be their project, not just my project. And I'm not sure, this is one of my pet peeves, and that is, people put someone like Elon Musk, or they look at, Bill Gates, or these other guys. These are the idols of business and entrepreneurship, and we're meant to follow them. Well, I doubt these guys would ever listen to this podcast, but if they did, I think they would probably even agree that their life is not the example for most people to follow. I mean, these are intense lives that business is all consuming. It's, in a sense, that they wouldn't know how to do anything other than this. I don't think that is a healthy way to live as a human being. I don't think it's actually, certainly not a path to happiness. And I don't believe it's the purpose behind, living a good life, is to basically have a ginormous organization making, billions of dollars, and your home life is a disaster and you're a very skewed personality. Again, this is not meant to be personal because everyone's got their own journey. It might suit some people to live that way, but the majority, 99.99% of us as business owners, we want to create amazing service. We want to create a very profitable business. We want to help people, but we also want to spend time with our family. There's meanings and purpose outside of business, and you don't want to end up being, in your late 80s and you look at your life, you're like, okay, none of my kids want to talk to me. I have no relationship with my grandkids. I don't know how to do anything. I don't even know how to play golf. I don't know how to do this. I don't need to do it, because all I've done is put my life, my blood, sweat and tears, my soul into a business. That's not the way to live life. So that would be my advice, is really say, how do you make this business operate without you? How do you give up the reins and start living a life outside of just the internet? Not that that's not an important part of your life, but it's not the only part of your life. And as business owners, especially if we're successful, that is the big trap, is that you start creating these habits where you're like, well, I'm already rich. I've already got lots of money. Why am I doing the same thing again and again? It's just because I've not done anything else other than that.
And that's a wrap for today's epic conversation here on Epic Entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, share it, or hit that bell. But until next time, let's make sure you keep dreaming, take massive action, and stay epic.